What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm BLAIDEN Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We're going to recap, of course, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We waited until after the game to record just for you guys because we love you all so much. And then we're going to preview the NBA Finals between the Celtics and Warriors before doing our Offensive Player of the Year draft. We're going to tweet out to see who gets the first pick. Hopefully I do. I've gone back-to-back last pick, but I think I've won the draft either way. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing today?
I'm good. Good Memorial Day weekend. I, like so many people who are maybe in the Midwest and have cabins, am at my cabin. And I've been fishing. I have not caught anything, which is unusual. Usually I have better luck than this, but I've had some strikes on some topwater bait, but nothing's really taken it. So I haven't had any luck. But I've seen some cool stuff. I saw an owl. All right. I saw a pileated woodpecker. I saw some hawks. I saw a snake. So I've been just immersed in nature.
Big nature guy here, but no fish.
Absolutely. No fish.
No fish. Matt, how are you doing? You're at home. How does it feel to be back in the 614?
It's all good, except I don't have any of my equipment on me. But Stay Hot doesn't rest for Memorial Day weekend, I'm afraid. Stay Hot doesn't take holidays, so.
Notice how I'm the only one here that actually has equipment? That's crazy.
You're hyping yourself up this episode, man. I've won both the drafts. I have all the equipment.
You know, even when I'm not at home, I always have my equipment.
Here's the secret. I don't think the first pick is actually good. I think I might rather have 3 and 4 than 1 and 6 in some of these drafts.
Maybe. Sadly, for these polls, you're the most popular guy here, all right, Mr.
I'm losing this next one.
Like 350,000 followers on TikTok, 70,000 on Twitter, all right. You're suffering from success right now. You need to tweet some controversial shit and then get your follower count.
Yeah, I'll tweet something.
I'll tweet something so you can get a better position in these drafts.
I'm going to quote tweet it when we tweet it out. I'm going to be like, please go vote for BLAIDEN. I need this.
That's just going to upgrade your votes by 50 times if you tell them not.
He's so humble and well-adjusted.
He's so humble.
He doesn't even want to win the poll. Now I got to vote for him.
Well, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Memorial Weekend, you know. Even though Theo didn't catch any fish, we would still appreciate a subscribe.
Are you saying to do it for the fallen soldiers? It's Memorial Day weekend. It's kind of disrespectful.
My bad. I'm the one getting canceled, not Matt, actually. But let's talk about some basketball. The Heat and Celtics.
Jimmy Butler.
That's
I want to say that. Jimmy Butler, I don't blame him. Okay. Jimmy Butler, how have you gotten this far? Yeah, the 3. It was totally fine. All right. How have they gotten this far? Who has carried them? Butler. Okay. He's been the best player in the playoffs. He's been ridiculous. He's wide open. Okay. He's wide the hell open to win a game 7. People are like, oh, he's not Curry. You know, he shouldn't shoot a 3. He's not a great shooter. Do you think that's what Butler is thinking in that moment? Do you think Butler is the greatest basketball player, or not the great, one of the greatest basketball players on the planet by thinking, oh, I'm not that good of a shooter. I'm not going to let this one fly. No, the Heat aren't here because he thinks like that. The Heat are here because he's aggressive. All right. And he was wide open. Oh, yes, maybe you go in and drive on Horford and draw the foul. What has happened to the great sport of basketball when they're like, oh, that was dumb of him to try to hit not a buzzer beater, but a late 3 to win a game 7. He should have tried to draw some contact and shot free throws. Get real. No one wants to see that.
This is proof that you cannot win. It does not matter what you do. If you're LeBron and you drive in and you're quadruple covered and you pass out, it's the right play, but you still get slammed for it.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a Bron transition. The way that you win, though, is that you make the shot. I will say, I don't blame him for taking it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's why they lost. And I think it would be even worse if he had passed up on the open shot, drove inside, and then missed. So like he took an open shot and he missed it. If you're questioning that, like, what are we talking about?
It looked bad in the moment, but like literally, he missed. Okay, they had an open shot to go to the finals, and he shot it. Like, God forbid.
He just happened to miss it.
Overall, like, Butler was just incredible in this game, though. And did he? I mean, did he get subbed out for even 1 second? Let me check. I should have the.
I think he did.
Box
He must
score
have.
Up, but I closed it out. And I think his aggressiveness honestly allowed him to do that, because that second quarter, all he was doing is standing around shooting free throws. And that, I think, helped out, because when you're standing around shooting free throws, you're not exuding a lot of energy. So, sometimes being aggressive like that can even save some stamina if you're into the line like he was. So, I mean, he was incredible. Bam had kind of a bounce back game, but the rest of the Heat, was kind of rough.
Bad. Oladipo, awful. Garbage. Did not deserve to be.
Yeah, he had 33 minutes tonight, and his defense, it may not be in a game 7 without his defense.
Maybe.
It's interesting. I didn't think he was, Hero being hurt, it's tough. All right.
I guess. But like, I look at that, the shot right before, like at the end of the third quarter, where it looked like he was trying to get like a 2-for-1. And because he just shoots this like really early shot, but it's like late to be a 2-for-1, and it's just awful. And
PJ Tucker 0 points since. Yeah, what did he have? Oladipo had 9 in 33 minutes, 4 for 12, 1 for 7. Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. Tucker 0. Strus hit some big shots tonight, and he's an undrafted free agent. You're not paying him to like go off offensively, but 8 points from him.
Was it?
Lowry was only 4 for.
There was a play. I cannot remember who shot it. Pulled up from like 35 feet and just like airballed it. And I'm like, that is.
I think it was Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent had the 4-point play early and did nothing the rest of the game. Like, it can't just be Jimmy, and that's what it comes down to for the Heat. And Jimmy played 48 minutes. Bam played 46. They scored combined 60 points. Like, they just didn't have help outside of that. And that's the story of the game for the Heat, right? Hero wasn't there. Hero was hurt, and they just had no one. They had no depth. The famous Heat depth didn't show up, and they had no help. And that's what it comes down to.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, their half-court offense is just not that good. Jimmy Butler is, as the best player on the championship team, is tough. Bam is wishy-washy as a second option. He played well tonight. But like without Hero, especially, and when he was on the court there for a minute, they looked a lot better when he was. But I don't know. Strus got attacked a lot, I felt like. And I think the big series, like, I don't think the Celtics half-court offense like always impresses me either. But they have better names. Tatum and Brown, those guys should be good though, right? But then they aren't always. They weren't playing with even a decent amount of energy there for a while, and it was just the Celtics getting out in transition, and they were down, almost 20 at the end of the first, and they battled their way back, and then the crowd kind of got into it. But you gotta close out game 7s at home, and they weren't able to do that. And I don't really know exactly where they go from here, but it's tough.
Yeah, that's the thing I've been thinking about.
Yeah, they had 3 assists.
What's the Heat? What's the move for them at this point, right?
We talked about Donovan Mitchell a bunch on this show, and I think that's the move that makes the most sense. The Heat had 3. We got to talk about the Celtics here pretty soon, but yeah, the Heat had 3 assists in the first half. I think the stat was right. Just no ball movement, relying solely on fouls to get him back out, and the half court offense wasn't what it was. But the Celtics, on the other hand, credit to them, right? And I think that we got to kind of avoid falling into the trap of, both of these teams are screwed against the Warriors because both have looked ugly. These are like the 2 best defensive teams in the league, right? Of course, it's going to look ugly at times. So the Celtics defense was real good. And you can't just say like, he can't hit shots, or Celtics can't hit shots. They're up against a tough matchup. Tatum's up on Bam Adebayo. That was a good matchup for Bam, and I think that we can't just write off the Celtics because they looked ugly in the finals. And Jaylen Brown, I thought, had a good game. Had a couple mistakes, especially like ball handling where it kind of went awry, but hit some tough shots, poured in a decent amount of points. Tatum had that crazy, like, I thought it didn't end up quite being a dagger three, but kind of a dagger three, like late in the game. That was ridiculous. Like, they were, despite Marcus Smart kind of being horrible and the Rob Williams being invisible, like, I think like you got to cut them some slack against this Heat defense. I think
your two best defensive players were non-existent.
Right. I think that you got to cut them some slack. I don't think that they're just going to get ran off the court by the Warriors.
I think I think they have a pretty good shot to beat them.
I agree.
I think the Warriors are. I like people. Like, the Celtics aren't going to get ran off the court should not be a hot take, like, at all. They have.
No, Matt, you go. My bad.
They have an unbelievable defense, like, and they have real guys who hit shots. And who cares if they won in 7? What does that matter? They won on the road a game 7 to get to the finals, and that's a bad thing. Yeah, they haven't looked as good. Yeah, because they've played like actual contending teams, so they have to play more games.
I mean, I guess you like some of the best, when you think of like the best teams in the history of basketball, usually they get things done before game 7, you know. I get that, but you know, this version of the Warriors is not quite the death lineup Warriors of years past. So I get it. I mean, I would probably say the Warriors are going to win the finals. I think that would be my pick, but yeah, I think, you know, they're definitely the Celtics are going to be the toughest team they've played in these playoffs for sure. And, you know, Mavs took them to it was only 5, but the Grizzlies took them to 6, right? And I definitely think that this one could go to 6 or 7 for sure with the Celtics. And I mean, the turnaround, man, to do this with a first-year head coach and to buy in like this, and it's been crazy. We've said it before, and it's worth repeating, right? Like, I don't know how many first-year head coaches has ever gotten to the finals. And it's time to stop with all the maturity stuff about the Celtics, too, or like they're inexperienced or this is a young team. It's like, no, you know, you see some videos about the Heat, you know, beating the Celtics years ago on this stage, right? I mean, it's been years and years and years. It's been like 4 or 5 years of the Celtics kind of being at this point, and it's time to grow up and it's time to man up. And they almost choked it. But they didn't, and the inexperienced excuse doesn't work anymore. And yeah, they're worthy opponents. I also think one thing that's interesting. I want to go back 1 sec. The Heat, Draymond was like, "Well, we're going to play the Celtics, right?" And after the Heat beat the Celtics in Game 6, they were like, "Thanks, Draymond. Shout out Draymond for the motivation." Why were they shouting out Draymond before they won the series? That was my question. It's like, what are they doing?
I thought that was
why are they acting like Draymond is wrong before they have even locked this up? That was a mistake. I felt like I was like, why are you acting like you just won and Draymond has been proven wrong? That was weird behavior from them, and a little bit out of character for a team that I thought might kind of block out the outside noise. I don't know why they were doing that.
I do think your point of like the Celtics. They've played a lot of like close games and they've like struggled at points. I think that kind of plays. I like that. I think that kind of plays to the advantage of like they've struggled through the Nets, Bucks, and now the Heat. They're battle tested, right?
Struggled through the Nets. They swept the Nets.
Well, I'm just saying like that's the path that they've had, right? I'm like, yeah, they didn't struggle against the Nets, but like this path that they've had of like they had to play the Nets, right? And I know the Nets weren't, but it's like Kevin Durant, amazing, right? Then you had to play Giannis and the Bucks, and yeah, they were missing a guy, but it's still the reigning champs. And then you play the Heat, who are the number 1 seed, and yeah, you struggled at times, but you made it through that, right? And I look to the finals, and I'm like, if the Warriors and Celtics both hit stretches where this, Matt, you said this is the toughest team the Warriors are going to play all playoffs, is the Celtics team in the finals. if we reach a point where the Warriors are struggling at points and the Celtics are struggling at points, I wonder who's going to be the team that actually is able to bounce back from those struggles. And I think it's the team that has struggled before and, knows how to handle it versus, the team that hasn't really had to struggle so much this postseason.
I mean, I disagree. I think the Warriors are plenty battle tested. I think it's playing more games is probably not preferable. I just think that people are underestimating the Celtics and overestimating the Warriors a little bit.
Maybe.
That's it. Like the Warriors are the favorites and they should be, and I want to pick the Celtics because I feel like they're being slept on a little bit, but Celtics. I still know that the Warriors are like, they're probably going to win in 6 or 7. But I don't think they're going to win in 4. And I go on Twitter, people are talking about like, oh, Curry has 4 rings. It's like, hold on. He still has to win this series. They still have to go out and get this one.
What specifically about the Warriors do you think like the Celtics can exploit, or what is the Celtics like looking towards the finals now? Like, yes, the Warriors maybe look better on paper, but it's not a lock in your eyes. What do you think people are specifically overrating about the Warriors?
I think the Warriors offense is going to be really tested. I mean, you talk about like the Nuggets, and then the Grizzlies had a very good defense, but you saw they took the Warriors to 6. And then you talk about the Mavericks. It's like, man, the Mavericks defense is, I mean, not even in the same realm as the Celtics. And I think it's just not as clear what to attack with Boston, and everybody's struggled with it. They're really good at handling the pick and roll stuff. Smart's all good at that stuff. I mean, I would say every single like defender in the Celtics starting 5 would be the best defender on the Mavericks. Is that a hot take?
No.
Unless I'm not thinking about it right.
I don't think you're wrong.
So I think
the last time that these two teams played, the Celtics won by a score of 110. The Warriors only scored 88 points in that game. That was the last time they played in March.
That? Okay.
That was in March. I'm not sure. I'm looking at it now. I'm not sure if like everybody was playing for the Warriors there. Curry, Porter, Looney, Clay, Poole. Yeah, all there. Curry shot 1 for 4. He only played 13 minutes, so that's probably going to change. Clay was 1 for 11 from 3. And Poole.
The
Poole
Clay lapses scare me a little bit for Golden State. They happen. They've been a little bit scary.
And that's the other thing. I mean, like the Warriors, I think a big difference between this Warriors iteration and maybe earlier ones is like Wiggins has been really good, but I don't know if I don't trust him as much as I trusted the old like dynasty. Like, how can you possibly beat these guys, Warriors? Same thing with Poole. He's super hot and cold. He's a great player, but he's super hot and cold. Same thing with Klay Thompson too. Like, he's had his games, but you don't trust him the same way you used to. So I think the Celtics defense is just really strong. I think you can attack the interior as much as you could with some of the other teams that the Warriors have played. I think the Celtics, I guess I am saying the Warriors will probably win in 6 or 7. The Celtics will probably lose because their half court offense gets stagnant at times, and their ball movement is rough, where it doesn't happen as much with the Warriors. And they'll work to win, some tough possessions, but they do have a fighting chance.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we saw that. I mean, Draymond played in that game too. I didn't list off his name, but Draymond played in that game as well, and they only scored 88 points. So yeah, I mean, the best team wins the finals, right? Seven games. And when you look at the Warriors, and yeah, Matt, what you're alluding to is to me what makes the Warriors the best team in basketball this season, or at least right now. Like, I think of that backdoor pass from Looney to Clay, the ball movement that was happening in that Mavericks series, that it looked better than the Mavericks, looked better than the Heat, looked better than the Celtics, looked better than every other conference finals team, right? That kind of cohesion makes them, in my opinion, the best team. So that's why they should be favored. But yeah, it's not a it's Golden State. This is their 6 finals in 8 years or whatever it is. But yeah, this isn't the death lineup Warriors. This isn't a lock. All right, that can kind of come and go.
The Warriors to win it?
I'm picking the Warriors, and the Celtics have brought it to 7 games, 2 series in a row. I'll say the Warriors in 7. This time, the Celtics' luck kind of runs out.
Who has home court advantage?
Warriors do, I believe. Game 1 is in San Francisco. I know this, so I would assume that means 1-2, Boston 1-2.
Yeah. All right, I'll go the same. I'll say Warriors in 7.
I'll be cute. I'll say Celtics in. I guess I'll say Celtics in 7. It can go to 7 no matter what.
Well, that's a good finals then. We're projecting a good finals.
The other thing, people were whining and they were belly aching because the game did not start off particularly good, and it ended up being a classic. People have been, I understand people are upset about the game 7s, but it turned around. It was a good game. The playoffs have not been that bad this year.
There have been some pretty bad games.
There have been some bad games. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, people belly aching drives me nuts. Oh my God. Refs. Also, shout out the Champions League, because I watched Liverpool versus Real Madrid, which was a great game. And soccer is underrated but anyway, what was my timeline? Refs, it's rigged. I can't believe the FIFA money is going to, the oil money is going to rig this game or whatever. Rigged. If I watch a football game, rigged. I watch a basketball game. Oh, it's a close game. Oh, it's definitely rigged. And yes, the Strus thing was fucking stupid. Yes, it was. But you know what? The Heat got away with some calls versus the refs last game. Last game, the Celtics fans were all saying rigged. I remember it. It was on my timeline, but the Strus thing was stupid. But anyway, I guess some people legitimately think that every sports league in the world is just rigged for money, and no ref, no higher up, no one's ever said that, and it's never ever been documented. No text messages.
It's been amazingly covered up. And there's been some NBA stuff like there's a little bit of stuff like that, but rigged is definitely a bridge too far. I always think it's funny. Sometimes people will be like, it's just that the refs really suck. And be like, we got to fix the ref problem. It's like, what would you suggest? Like, there aren't just really like better NBA refs roaming around out there in the wild.
They need to be trained better.
Scott Foster's what you got, I'm afraid.
It's so easy to be like, when you have this like full court, like NBA 2K style view of the court, and you're like, but foul, or when they give you like the 8K resolution close up. But like sometimes they just get shit wrong.
The Strus thing was bad. And here's the thing: if they get shit wrong, it's wrong. Either you got it wrong, you screwed up the call. This, like, never ever, and I've seen it a couple times before, and it drives me nuts every time. But like 5-10 minutes later, they're like, "Oh, by the way, that Strus shot, that didn't count." By the way, they looked at it a couple minutes later. It's like, what?
That just shouldn't be allowed. It's like, because it changes. And you could argue that it changes the way that you like play the game. Like if you're down at more points, it should change your maybe your mindset a little bit. So it shouldn't be allowed at all.
And it's like, what can it get? That seems like such a shadow rule, because it feels like that kind of stuff happens a lot where you could like retroactively. There's probably a couple things in every game that maybe weren't called, and it's like, why was that? And that was questionable. Like it kind of looks like his heel didn't come all the way down, so it wasn't even conclusive. And it's like, okay, the Heat lost by 4. That was a 3-point shot. Okay. If that's not the reason why they lost. I'm 100%
but maybe
convinced.
Butler doesn't take a 3 if they're only down 1.
Right. But I never think that refs ever single-handedly decide the game, because guess what? Jimmy had an open look and he missed it. And if they hit the shot, they probably win that game. Right. It comes at the end of the day, it comes down. Tatum had a ridiculous contested shot at the end of the game. Right. Strus was contesting it. Tatum hit the shot. Butler missed the shot. At the end of the day, the players kind of decide the game. And yes, it was a close game. There were points where the Heat were down 3 and they should have probably had 3 more points on the board. Yes, it sucks, but it's not rigged. It's just like, but that it was really dumb.
In most
that was
instances,
incredible. That doesn't say like,
when I've seen like horrific reffing, within like a week, that ref is fired.
What are you talking about? What world do you live in where refs get held accountable all the time? No. What?
I've seen refs get fired all the time.
Name one. Name 5 refs who have been fired.
My bad that 10, I can name refs 8. Getting fired.
I can think of like the replacement refs after the Hail Mary. They all got out of it. They're like, oh, these guys need to go.
No, but name one referee ever.
Scott Foster,
Jerome Boger, Scott Foster. What's his name? Ed Hockley's and his son Sean Hockley.
Theo's out here like Theo has the roster of every ref in sports history.
Do you understand if they like were really strict about firing guys for like missing a call? How down like we would be at middle school level refs in 2 to 3 seasons.
NHL ref was fired after getting caught on a hot mic during a game saying he wanted to give one team a penalty. That's what happens if you search ref fired. That was over a calendar year ago, and that's the only thing that
I would be biased.
And it's an NHL.
I would be biased.
Maybe I'm tweaking.
I can't.
Like I feel like no. I've seen no. There was a Browns game, and what? No. There was a Browns game and a ref got fired. I can't remember what happened.
Oh no, this is because Browns fans. I remember this so specifically. You guys were going like 0-16, but we're convinced that like the refs were screwing you over every game. Do you remember this,
bro? The 0-16 season
happened in Okay, this is just, it happened once to the Browns, and you're like,
was it that fumble that they messed up? They messed up like a fumble
the Duke
recovery.
Johnson fumble.
Yes.
The Duke Johnson.
They did mess that one up. I'll give you that one.
Literally holding the ball,
and they gave it to the other team.
And here's the thing. Here's Blaiden. Here's how this is the article. For the first time in the Super Bowl era, the NFL has fired a referee in the middle of the season. Hugo Cruz, a down judge, was fired for performance-related reasons, according to Football Zebras. This includes, but is not limited to, the egregious missed false start, which was
I remember that touchdown, which I remember that shit.
That was against the Browns. So most referees just get suspended during the season when the league reaches their breaking point. So it's a bit surprising that Cruz got the axe during the season. So he missed several calls. It wasn't just one, and that was the only performance-relating firing in the history of football. But it happened to the Browns. So
it happened to the Browns, and that's why I remembered. That's why it stuck out so heavily, because it happened to the best team in the history of sports.
The 2018. Anyway, it's not rigged. Basketball is not rigged. Football is not rigged.
Football might be rigged against the Browns. I don't know.
No. Well, the Packers do get the benefit. As a Packers fan, like, we're off in the weeds right now. We're not talking about basketball or the finals at all. But Tyler Smith is a guy who was penalized like 15 times in college, like last season in college or something ridiculous. And I was like, on the Packers, he's not going to get that whistle. So it's okay if we take him as a project. But anyway, it's not that rigged. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that
rigged. All right. Do you guys want to do this draft?
Yes.
Offensive Player of the Year. Well, before we do this draft, I just want to remind everyone about our good friends over at PrizePicks, because PrizePicks makes daily fantasy easy. And they offer more NBA props than any other DFS operator, and offer every player a stat category you can think of. So you pick 2 to 5 players and an over/under on their projections. You can win up to 10 times your money on any given night. You guys remember we did our PrizePicks with the Warriors, and they hit because we're geniuses. And PrizePicks made it really easy for us to look like geniuses. And you can look like a genius too, because PrizePicks allows for mixed sport entry. So, for example, Theo, give me an MLB player. Or
let's go with I don't know. Let's go with Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman? You could take the over on Freddie Freeman and combine it with the under on like Draymond Green in the same entry. And users that deposit and use our promo code will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just use the promo code STAYHOT. So don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com or download the PrizePicks mobile app and use the promo code STAYHOT because PrizePicks makes daily fantasy easy. All right, let's do this draft. Apparently the draft order, a little bit surprising. Matt, you have the first pick as always. I have the second pick. So Theo, you are.
I did absolutely zero prep for this. Who should I pick, guys?
Me. Pick me.
I think Drew Lock has a good chance this year. I was a little hesitant to take him. For MVP, but for Offensive Player of the Year, I think that he could be the second best quarterback.
Hold on. Let's see what the Offensive Player of the Year odds are looking like.
I have the FanDuel Sportsbook up. You already know me.
What's number one? Oh, it's Cooper. Is it Cooper? I'll go Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably fair. I picked him for MVP, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could go Cooper Kupp again too. I wouldn't blame you for that, but I think Taylor, he's due. And it's hard. It's going to be hard for Kupp not to like take a little bit of a drop from last year just for the sake of like, Jesus, dude, what are you going to top that? Probably not.
Yeah.
It's
Taylor's in a really great situation. I think the Colts are going to be really good. I think they're going to give him the ball a lot. I mean, we talked about how he's like borderline in the MVP conversation. He really is that awesome too. That's the other thing. Not only does he have everything going his way, but he breaks off those big runs like crazy, and you don't have to be an expert at football to watch, some of those replays they show of him, weaving in and out of the offensive line, and it's got all the second gear. So like he's got it all.
His acceleration is so good. One thing that I always, when I like watching Adrian Peterson twice a year, right? As a Packers fan, just destroy, or more than twice a year, because I lived in Minnesota. The thing that was always like the craziest to me about Adrian Peterson is like when he got to the line of scrimmage, he was already moving like faster than everybody else out there. Like he hit the line of scrimmage with such a violence that was like already moving like he's in the open field 20 yards down the field. Like that's how he hit the hole. Right. And it was just tough to deal with him. I kind of see like the kind of a similar trait in it's like he doesn't have build up speed. He just is like violent immediately. And I always think like of the Patriots game when he ran that game winner. Do you remember this? Yeah, it was like one of the night games.
I had just landed I had just gotten off a flight. And
so had I. Maybe were we all together landing back from somewhere like LA or something? I don't know.
LA, or it might have been LA.
I think that may have been it.
But I remember I land, and the first thing I do is I pull up my phone, and the first thing I see is Jonathan Taylor running like 80 yards. I'm like, oh my God.
But what I remember from that play is the hole he hit, there were 2 Patriots in that hole, 2 of them, and he still got through there because he was moving so fast and he was able to just slip on through. He's ridiculous.
So he's ridiculous. He should get a whole bunch of yards, and he should do it on a good team. So I don't see why he's not winning.
Good point. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's special. I guess I have the second pick, and I'm not going to take Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to take Derrick Henry, even though I feel like a lot of people are going to bash me for not taking Derrick Henry. The guys I'm stuck between right now are, you know what? Why would I not just? I'm worried if I don't take Nick Chubb now, I'm going to lose out on him later. But like,
yeah, you got to take him now, man. I feel the same way about Jerome Ford, dude.
You got to take him now. Yeah, I'm praying you don't take Nick Chubb right now,
bro. You have to act like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is
stop soft launching your selections here.
Yeah, you already made the Nick Chubb MVP case on the TikTok. You just need to commit to it and say that he's winning at least Offensive Player of the Year with your first pick if he's your dark horse MVP.
Here's the thing.
You're trying to soften the blow right now.
I want to commit to it right now, right? But the other guy I want to do is Debo. Debo's my other guy. But also, is he even gonna get a deal done? Like I don't know what.
I have no idea. I haven't looked into that situation nearly enough. It doesn't seem great. Maybe he'll just play, but it doesn't seem great for him finding a trade right now.
That's the thing. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? But like Debo has the skill set.
My life that he plays for the 49ers next year. You can tell me if he doesn't.
Well,
and I think he's probably
there's no stakes on that anymore. I'm afraid after the
Theo, you bet your life a lot. There is
you kill me.
You've said that before.
It's not my fault you guys haven't killed me. You have my permission.
That's right. We just don't have the balls to kill Theo.
I'm giving Blaiden, you guys can come kill me if I'm wrong about this. My life, and then you say there's nothing at stake.
Oh man!
Not only my life, but the future of the podcast.
The future of the podcast.
Something even bigger than my life. The future of Stay On.
It's just me.
Who replaces Theo if we have to kill him? That's the real question here.
Bangle, I guess.
Bangle. Try out. You have to be able to dunk. That's the prerequisite.
Nico. Fantasy football AZ on here.
Fantasy football AZ. Your arch nemesis.
Yeah. Well, if he's going to kill me in battle, right? He's going to come box me. He's going to take my spot. He's going to kill me in combat, and then he's going to be like,
he was going to die in a duel.
I'm on your podcast now. It's going to be like Oberyn versus the mountain in Game of Thrones.
All right. Let me make my pick. I'll just take Nick Chubb. I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy and take big dick Nick Chubb. Pause. Yours. No, here's the thing with Nick Chubb, right? If Deshaun Watson gets suspended, I've said this before, Nick Chubb's going to be the guy that they give the ball to, right? They're not going to be like, oh, Jacoby Brissett, let's throw the ball, 35, 40 times a game. No, they're going to be like, all right, Nick Chubb, you're getting, 25, 30 carries a game. So when I look at the Browns have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. It's a very similar case with Indy and Jonathan Taylor, right? You have a great offensive line, a great running back. Nick Chubb has a little bit more patience, I think, behind the line of scrimmage. And then when he hits the hole, he's able to break a tackle. When he has that second gear to really pull away at the second level, he's just so phenomenal. And, people talk about, he could be the best power back in the NFL. He could be the best, elusive back in the NFL. Just like his bag of tricks.
His bag of tricks is pretty... is up there. I'll give you that. I'm afraid that Watson is not going to play a game this year. You're starting Baker Mayfield again, and you're winning 5 games. But
it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. But you don't need to win a lot of games to be Offensive Player of the Year. Is the thing, right? MVP I can get behind being
for offensive play. I want a running back who wins, and Jonathan Taylor wins in a way that Nick Chubb never will.
He just wins. He's just a winner.
Okay, so you're taking Nick Chubb. I'm going to take Jamar Chase here. I think that Jamar Chase you look at Justin Jefferson and what he did as a rookie, right? And he followed that up with another absolutely fantastic season. There was no sophomore slump. Kind of projecting the same thing to happen to Jamar Chase, except I think that he was even better as a rookie, and he could be even better his sophomore year because I think he's more physical, and I think that he offers a little bit more after the catch than Justin Jefferson does even. And I think that Justin Jefferson's the better route runner, but with an offseason to refine that, Jamar was already way better. It doesn't get talked about enough, how much better he was as a refined receiver from what he was at LSU to what he was at the end of this NFL season. He got that was kind of scary to me, and why I thought maybe he would take a little while to adjust is that the one thing that concerns me is, Burrow takes a lot of sacks. I think his injury risk is a little high. And if Burrow gets hurt, is is Jamar Chase still going to do that? But I think Jamar Chase is a pretty safe bet here. And then I'm going to take Derrick Henry here with the swing around pick. He's just into Derrick Henry is just a freak of nature. And I truly believe he's had one of the best football careers ever. If you take it all into account, his high school numbers, winning the Heisman at Alabama, and then having what he's done in the NFL too, and being the best high school running back, best college running back, and best NFL running back. And his size and his toughness is pretty crazy. Yes, he's getting up there in age. Yes, he's got some tread off his tires, but you just look at him and I know he got hurt last year, but I think he's going to be kind of an exception. And I think he's still going to be effective, even as he has got a lot of carries on his frame. I think that obviously health and injuries and whatnot are tough to project, but I feel pretty good about him. Kupp is another guy who's right on the tip of my tongue, but projecting he does it twice in a row. And I don't even think Calvin Johnson did it twice in a row when he had the record breaking season. So
it's almost impossible to replicate that kind of a performance. The Derrick Henry pick I can actually kind of get behind with if Tannehill's a little bit shaky, you're
right. They're still going to run the offense. You look at that, and they brought in Woods, who's a good run blocking wide receiver. They're still going to be running that offense through Derrick Henry. I think that he's going to put up plenty. I think he's going to be in contention for 2,000 yards again. So
yeah, fair enough.
If he does that, he's probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year. So whatever.
Yeah. I think any of those three running backs, like Chubb, Taylor, and Henry, I think any of those guys could put up 2K. Legitimately.
I kind of do too. Yeah. I think that those are the top three pretty clearly. That hierarchy.
I want to go Debo here, but I think I'm going to actually change my mind. And I'm going to pull a trick out of a page out of the Theo Ash book and pick Travis Kelce.
Oh, take a tight end.
Yeah.
That works so well for my Waller agenda. Works out so well.
I think, but I think it's Travis Kelce. This is going to be a sneak peek into my NFL top 100. I think was the most important player for the Kansas City Chiefs last year, and losing Tyreek Hill, I think is gonna really change. They're gonna lean on Kelce a lot more.
More important than
Theo,
Patrick Mahomes.
I'm fucking crazy.
There is Mahomes.
Mahomes. But when things don't look great for the Chiefs, where do they lean? They lean to Kelce.
Patrick Mahomes.
But not him though.
Tyreek Hill too. I think.
No.
I do get what you're saying. No, I don't think that this is a bad pick here. At this point, I would just say going from Mahomes
to give me hell
Matt,
for no reason.
I'm just saying if Matt Moore was starting the entire time.
If Matt Moore was starting, it would be different. But I think people are gonna, look at Kittle and be like, well, Kittle would be a better pick, or look at Mark Andrews after the season that he had. But I'm you're putting Kelce in a position where it's if anyone could have a similar season to Kupp, I think it would be him. I think you look at the type of offense the Chiefs are kind of building. They're going to want to attack a lot of that too high stuff that they've been struggling with, right? That's why they have Juju and Kelce. Yep. And then they have the speed guys to where okay, if we get into a position where we get a man look or we get a single high look, we still have Hardman and who's
MVS. Marquez Valdez.
MVS, yes. They just got Scanling. So they have they still have their deep threats. But now they're gonna have I think lean a lot on the Kelce and Juju type of power slot. I think that's the term you've used, Theo. And I think Kelsey's really going to be the prime guy in that role. I could see him going absolutely berserk.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad take. Tight ends hardly ever win it, but Kelsey's not a normal tight end.
I don't think they've ever won it. But yeah. I think Kelce, Waller, I understood your vision with Waller, but Kelce is Kelsey's him, and he's been him.
Kelsey's more proven than Waller is.
Yes. Yeah. And
Kelsey's
given
clearly
in a position where he could be the number one receiving option on a team with the best quarterback in the NFL, he can do it.
I've got the next two picks. I'm going Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only argument against him was that he won it last year. I mean, yeah, he's a big part of that offense. Racked up a ton of yards. I don't think he's going to triple crown again or anything, but I do think that he's still going to get. I mean, Stafford loves to throw to one guy a lot. He loves to. He's.
It really is crazy that both Calvin and Cooper Kupp have the two best receiving seasons ever, and both of them had
he has no problem getting the ball to one guy, so he will. I don't know. I think I don't think I have to explain a Kupp pick too much. The other guy I'm going to go with is Christian McCaffrey, kind of for the same reason, honestly. Now it's a big gamble that he'll stay healthy. But also, it's my third pick, so you got to gamble a little bit. The thing about him is that, Darnold is going to play a big part of the season, I think, and Darnold relies on McCaffrey to a ridiculous extent. Now, I don't think I can totally see a world where maybe McCaffrey does stay healthy this time around, and he is an insanely big part of an offense that's going to try to get the ball out a little bit quicker. And that's going to, he was going nuts before he got hurt, in the 3 games that he played. And you saw how much Darnold wanted to throw. Darnold had 3 300-yard games to start off the season, and then McCaffrey went out and it was downhill from there. So I think the injury stuff has made people forget a little bit about how good McCaffrey is in open space, and I can't blame, he is, I think, maybe the best check down guy in the NFL with what he can do with what he can do in open space. So I'm going him. Also, he plays for my team.
Yeah, I think Matt and I both had to pick our guys. I get it. I respect it. I can't believe you guys both let me get Debo though. I'm just gonna take Debo. Outside of I can't even think of anyone who is more versatile in terms of what they do for an offense. I think about I've been trying to think about how to building out my top 100. I've been thinking about who I'm going to put higher between Kittle and Debo, and I'm well, both are super valuable in the passing game, obviously, but then they're both super valuable in the run game. Kittle as a blocker and Debo as an actual rushing threat. So I'm but Debo, what he can do with the football in his hands is absolutely madness. And I understand why he wants.
They are not. My concern with him is that he would hold out to an extent that maybe puts him out of the award. And I'll also say for Kittle, I feel like you're not winning Offensive Player of the Year over blocking, I'm afraid.
Probably not.
Kittle's not getting it. But that was just for in my top 100. I'm which do I? Because Kittle is the best blocking tight end maybe in football, right? So I'm I don't know how much does that play over the runs that Debo has, but when it comes to Offensive Player of the Year, Debo's rushing ability is going to reign supreme, obviously. If he doesn't
and his
hold
receiving
out,
ability. I mean, the dude had how many 1,500 receiving yards?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dude could have 2,000 all-purpose yards, easily. Yeah, if he doesn't hold out, right? That's going to be the big thing. But no, he's that guy.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
No, he
followed the 49ers back on Instagram. Okay,
we're all good.
So he's playing.
Oh, he followed the 49ers back on Instagram?
He followed them back on Instagram a while ago. So that man is suiting up. I think it's interesting. I'm looking at the odds here, and quarterback is quarterbacks litter the top of this list. In the 2010s, 6 out of those years, quarterbacks won the award. I think those days are over. I don't think we're seeing this being a quarterback award ever again. There was a point in 2016, Matt Ryan won MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. I think they didn't know what to do with this award for a long time. And I think we've started to see it kind of materialize into a skill position award.
The narrative that the MVP is just a quarterback award, no one else can win it, really got going. So they've decided that this one is the one that quarterbacks aren't allowed to win anymore.
I don't think we're seeing quarterbacks win this award anymore. I think that people are going to vote for this as like, okay, this is the best non-quarterback. I think Vegas has not picked up on that yet because we've seen so many quarterbacks win. Like I've said, I made the point before that Drew Brees has 2, which no one ever talks about. I really think that this is always going to go to the best. Like, I don't think this is going to go to the second best quarterback anymore. So I see like Patrick Mahomes.
Let's say Jonathan Taylor wins MVP, but there's like, let's say Josh Allen.
Then maybe he gets Offensive Player of the Year. Right. But I don't think we're going to see 2 quarterbacks. I really don't. Yeah. I think that things have changed. With the last pick here, I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. All right. The dude is still young. He's like 22 years old, probably going to be 23. And that's kind of when guys enter their athletic prime. All right. Like the best years of their careers usually don't happen the first 2, which is scary to think about in terms of Justin Jefferson because he's been so ridiculously good these past 2 seasons. I'm not too worried about a backup quarterback thrown to him because Kirk Cousins is indestructible. That guy has never been hurt. He's never gotten up labored. That guy's like a battleship. Okay. That's one nice thing I'll say about Kirk Cousins. I don't think he feels pain or feels anything. Yeah, he's like made out of like titanium. I don't know what it is. He'll like get decked and he'll just like pop up like nothing happened to him. He's just too goofy and silly to stay down. You know, I don't know.
Fun-loving guy like him.
I don't know what it is about him. He's not getting hurt. Fun-loving guy like him.
You like that.
We saw their new coach, right, come from the Rams. We just saw a featured wide receiver Kupp get peppered with targets. I don't think that's going to be Jefferson. He's not going to be in the Kupp role, but we saw like someone will kind of, I think, play that role. And then in the Rams offense, it was Odell Beckham on the backside beating one-on-ones as like an isolated guy. And like the main design of the play would be on a kind of the strong side. I think they're going to line up Jefferson as that backside guy. And he's going to demand a bunch of one-on-ones. He's going to win a bunch of one-on-ones, and he's going to continue to he's going to be like a souped up Odell in that Rams offense, I think,
and he'll be healthy, unlike Odell.
Right. And he'll be healthy. So, and they don't have a Kupp to suck up all the targets.
Adam
all right.
Thielen, man.
Like they have Thielen and Cook, but I think that he is going to have another. I mean, it's not a hot take to say that Justin Jefferson is going to have an incredible season because he's due for 2 on incredible seasons. At this point, there's like guys like, you know, Tyreek Hill, there's guys like Devontae Adams, right? There's some big snubs here, but there's in some new situations, some of these wide receivers and the running backs. I do think there's kind of a teardrop. I think not Jamar Chase. I already picked him. I think I'm going Jefferson here for a big season.
Yeah. I don't think it's totally unreasonable to pick Jefferson. I mean,
I just realized that Jamar Chase has the lowest odds of all the guys that I picked, and I picked him with my first.
I think
choice.
His odds should be higher. I can totally see it.
I think so too.
Burrow's
He's crazy good. Right. I think if they both have insane seasons, Offensive Player of the Year would go to Chase, but maybe I'm wrong.
If they're both insane, then Burrow would just get MVP, right? And Jamar would get Offensive Player of the Year. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but you guys need to let us know who had the better team. It'll probably be me again because I'm on a roll with the great teams. But Theo did have the last
your
pick.
Team's getting hurt. Your NBA team's getting hurt. That's what people were slandering my team. Theo doesn't know ball. Why would he pick? What was he doing? Giannis, Tatum, Cat, Trae Young, Devin Booker. Look, your team, old ass LeBron and Embiid and whoever else. They're not seeing.
Lucas.
They're not seeing they're not staying healthy. Matt's got KD and Chris Paul. Let's get real, man. Like, yes, in a fantasy world, it might be the better team, but in real life, my fake put together
IRL
team is
Jokic
better.
is probably dropping like 50 on Karl Anthony Towns if they like matched up.
In real life, Giannis is probably dropping 100 on Chris Paul or whoever you've got as your
not Chris Paul.
Yeah, no one's stopping. One's stopping.
You don't understand my coach. We're getting that Giannis on Chris Paul matchup that you hear.
Giannis on Chris Paul.
You don't know. We didn't pick coaches. I got a special coach in mind.
Yeah, but that pretty much wraps things up for us, I think. Unless you
I got nothing else.
Want to talk about your
what should I do my
what should I do my
on?
video on?
It's due tomorrow.
I
was gonna do maybe about the Mavericks. I think they're pretty interesting in their offense.
This is like the second episode in a row that we're just like spitballing content.
Something finals related.
I like cool. To
do maybe or
I've been trying to do like the off-season stuff. That's the stuff that I want to really do because I feel like that's what I could do something on the finals.
You could maybe do like there's been a lot of like how like close is Curry
Hero
right
giving Hero the
like
max might be kind of an interesting video. We've talked about that a little bit. I think that one's people are kind of split on that. That could be cool. I think I might do mine on Jerry Jeudy, and if he can be, because people are kind of anticipating like, oh, Jerry Judy's going to be, obviously he's going to break out with Russ. I actually don't know yet, so I think I'm going to watch some Jerry Jeudy.
If you ask me for all 22 suggestions, I'm giving you Matt Corral, Jerome Ford,
Panthers,
DJ Moore, bad suggestions.
I'd offer David Njoku.
He got a huge contract, dude. And you can't say anyone has gotten a big contract anymore because then you go and look at the detail. You'll see the tweet and it'll be like 4 years, $58 million. You'll be like, wow, that's a lot. And you go look at the details and it's actually an $18 million contract with 9 void years. I hate that. I think they should take it out of the system. There should not be a rule. You shouldn't be allowed to have void, fake contract years. Maybe that's just like that. It sounds like me being a hater, but I hate not being able to tell like how much a contract actually is just by looking at it.
I think it's just the NFL trying to work around the fact that like they have a hard cap and like pretty much every other like major league has either like a luxury tax or like
what does hockey have? The NHL.
No money. All right. Their big deals are like they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they gave Ovechkin $7 million a year. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they gave Connor McDavid like $10 million a year. That's crazy. They have no money. That's what they've got. Anyway, we got to do this before Matt's phone dies, so we don't.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
But that pretty much wraps things up for us. Theo's going to do an all 22 on David Njoku. And he's going to come back and tell you all that he's a really good run blocker and an elite receiving threat. But until then, as always, tons of content coming on all platforms. We're going to do, I think we're moving our NBA Live to Tuesday. So that'll probably be the next content offering we have for you guys on top of Theo's all 22. As always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.